Alrighty, and now we are going to look at 4.3, Day 1, Page 1, Basic Right Triangle Trig. So you hopefully have heard of SOHCAHTOA before. If not, that's what we're looking at. We are looking at SOHCAHTOA, but I just call it SOHCAHTOA Plus. That's just my own thing. Not every teacher does that. But the plus is the fact that we actually have 6 trig functions. SOHCAHTOA are the first 3 that you learn: sine, cosine, tangent. And then so the plus just represents the other 3: cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So these all depend on a right triangle here. And we have to mark one of the angles though, because you're looking at one specific angle. So we could have marked either one, but if we'd marked this angle, then the opposite and the adjacent would be switched. So that's what this stands for. This is the opposite leg, and ADJ stands for the adjacent leg. And then this is always the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. So the trig functions are actually the ratios between the sides of the triangle. So the sine of theta is the length of the opposite leg over the length of the hypotenuse. The cosine of the angle theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and the tangent of theta equals the opposite over the adjacent. The other 3 trig functions are all the reciprocals of the original. So cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so it's hypotenuse over opposite. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so hypotenuse over adjacent. And cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so it's adjacent over opposite. Okay. All right, so we want to find the exact value of the 6 trig functions for theta, this specific angle. So we are given 2 sides of the triangle, and I just did Pythagorean theorem to find that the hypotenuse was 10. So sine theta, opposite, 6 over hypotenuse, 10 is 3 over 5. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse, 8 over 10, or 4 over 5. Tangent, opposite over adjacent, so 6 over 8 is 3 over 4. And the other 3, you can use the triangle, or what I find easier is I just do the reciprocals. Cosecant, hypotenuse over opposite, which is just going to be 5 over 3. Secant, hypotenuse over adjacent, is going to be 5 over 4. And cotangent, adjacent over opposite, is going to be 4 over 3. And B, we're given one leg is 2 root 5. We're given the hypotenuse is 6, so I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem to get the other leg, and that's 4. Please be careful. 2 root 5 squared, you have to square the 2 and the root 5. If you use a calculator, you better use parentheses. All right, so now here's theta, which means looking at theta, 2 root 5 is the opposite leg, 4 is the adjacent leg. 6 is the hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle. So sine theta, 2 root 5 over 6, but the 2 and the 6 can reduce, so root 5 over 3. Cosine theta, 4 over 6, adjacent over hypotenuse, so 2 over 3. And tangent theta, opposite over adjacent, 2 root 5 over 4, which can reduce to root 5 over 2. And then the other 3 are the reciprocals. So cosecant is 3 over root 5, but if you recall, we're not supposed to leave a radical in the denominator. So I just multiply top and bottom by root 5, and I get 3 root 5 over 5. Secant, the reciprocal of cosine, would be 3 over 2. Cotangent, the reciprocal of tangent, would be 2 over root 5. But again, multiply top and bottom by root 5, and we get 2 root 5 over 5. And that finishes page 1.